Hi Brollies, Marvin here from TechBroll.com, where we do unboxings, reviews, and sexy b-rolls. And today I have another exciting news for you guys. Realme, as we all know, isn't gonna stop releasing more value-oriented smartphones because in a few days, they're gonna officially launch their new Realme 7 series. So in this video, to start things off, we're going to do an unboxing and first impressions of the new Realme 7 Pro. And we're also going to do a 7-minute charging challenge while we're at it. With that being said, let's get into it. Alright guys, so right here we have the packaging for the Realme 7 Pro, and it's no surprise that we're getting the same generic yellow box, and the only real change here is the model name and the specifications. Speaking of specifications, we have them here at the back, at least for the most important ones, like the 65-watt super dart charge feature, which like I said we're going to test later with a 7-minute charging challenge. Now another key specifications here is the 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display, which I know a lot of you are asking from Realme, so we finally got that here. Now what we have here is the mirror silver 8GB RAM, 128GB ROM variant. So let's see what comes in the package. Now pause this video and comment down below if you think we're gonna get an earphone just for fun. Don't cheat. So upon opening the box, we're greeted by the usual accessory box, and inside it we have a few more items like a couple of paperwork here, and of course we have a free jelly case that I always appreciate from Realme. After that, we have the Realme 7 Pro smartphone itself. But let me just put it aside as we take a look at the rest of the package contents. So underneath this cover, we have a SIM ejector pin, and then we have the quite hefty 65-watt super dart charge power brick. Again, we're going to test how fast the smartphone charges later in this video. And lastly, we have the USB Type-C charging cable, which is obviously thicker than most charging cables that I came across. Unfortunately, we don't have a free earphone. Now let's take a look around the new Realme 7 Pro. At first look and touch, what strikes me the most is the relatively thin bezels and clean look overall here in front. In terms of the display, we have a 6.4-inch Full HD Plus 2400 by 1080 resolution with 411 pixel density and screen-to-body ratio of around 90.8%. And since the panel is AMOLED, the colors are quite vivid and contrast levels are pretty good with deeper blacks compared to standard LED. Now in terms of brightness, it can go as low as this and as substantially bright as this. We also have here in front the 32-megapixel wide-angle selfie camera and a subtle cutout for the earpiece. And lastly, if you look closely, we can see that it has a pre-applied screen protector. Overall, the Realme 7 Pro looks and feels quite good, and rightfully so, since this is the top of the line from the new Realme 7 series. Now, flipping it on the top side, we have the secondary microphone, and flipping it on the other side, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, the main microphone, the USB Type-C port, and a single downward firing speaker. Turning it on the left side, we have the SIM tray that supports 2 nano SIM cards and a micro SD card. And we also have here 2 dedicated buttons for adjusting the volume. And as you can see, we have this sort of chamfered edges to give that impression that the smartphone is slimmer than it actually is, at least looking from the side. On the right side, we have the power button that is conveniently spaced to be reached using just one hand. Now, another key difference of the Realme 7 Pro from the rest of Realme smartphones is the in-display fingerprint reader. But like most optical in-display fingerprint reader, it is not as accurate as a regular one, and sometimes I have to tap it first before it starts recognizing my fingerprint. Now, flipping it all over at the back, I'm not gonna lie, it looks quite premium, especially when it's clean. It features what Realme calls as a mirror design, with this sort of compact disc visual vibes going on with 2 sides reacting to light differently in any given angle. Not to mention, this particular mirror silver variant that we have right here looks really stunning, clean, sleek, and like I said, premium. Now, as you can tell, it is still susceptible to fingerprint, but not so much compared to, let's say, a glossy glass finish. Now, summing up the rest of the parts overview, we have a Realme logo here, and of course, we have the quad camera setup in a fairly different design compared to what we're used to before with this rectangular-like shape. Here, we have the 2nd gen Sony IMX682 64-megapixel quad camera setup that features a 64-megapixel main camera, an 8-megapixel ultra-wide-angle lens, a 2-megapixel black and white portrait lens, and a 2-megapixel macro lens. So we have 4 cameras at the back and a single but massive 32-megapixel selfie camera in front. Overall, in terms of the design, construction, display, and camera arsenal, the Realme 7 Pro isn't lacking awesome features for the top dog of the 7 series lineup. Now looking further, in terms of the user interface, is the familiar Realme UI, which is relatively lightweight, snappy, and responsive, and doesn't have much bloatware in pre-installed apps. These ones right here I already installed for benchmarking purposes, but for the most part, the user interface is not too far off from the stock Android experience. There's no fancy heavy skin, obnoxious icons, and things that bog down system resources. Not that the Realme 7 Pro can't handle it as it packs some capable hardware inside. Speaking of hardware, let me break down the specifications of the Realme 7 Pro. So aside from the things that I've already mentioned earlier, like the display and camera specifications, under the hood the Realme 7 Pro packs a decent Snapdragon 720G octa-core processor with an Adreno 618 GPU, and for the variant that we have right here, we have a substantial 8GB of RAM, which is quite plenty for multitasking, partnered with the decently sized 128GB of storage space. It also has a 4500 mAh of battery that can be quickly charged using the 65W Super Dart Charge power brick. And as Realme claims, it can charge up to 31% in just 7 minutes. And what better way to find if it's true by doing a 7-minute charge challenge? So what I'm going to do here, just to make it interesting and fun, is that I will try to draw whatever I can under 7 minutes while the phone is charging and see how much it'll charge for that amount of time. So as you can see, the current charge of our Realme 7 Pro sample here is around 4%. And once plugged in, we should be seeing the Super Dart logo and animation, giving us an idea that we're ready to go. Alright guys, start the timer and let's see how awful I draw under 7 minutes. This is actually an image that I often draw when I was still a child, and I assure you guys that I've done this way better before than what I'm doing right now under 7 minutes. And there you go guys, don't mind my drawing, and let's check out how much charge we got for just around 7 minutes. So we're able to charge the Realme 7 Pro up to 28% from 4%, for a total of 24% under 7 minutes, which is pretty awesome. This essentially means that we can rely on the charging of this phone if we're in a hurry, or if we simply want to continue using the device throughout the day. And there you have it guys for the unboxing experience and my first impressions about the new Realme 7 Pro. In the full review, expect more battery testing, performance benchmarks, camera test, gaming experience with thermal testing, and everything in between. So make sure to subscribe so you won't miss out. Huge thanks to Realme for sending this in, and make sure to watch the official livestream launch of the Realme 7 series on September 30 on Realme's official Facebook page. Thank you for watching. Again, subscribe if you like this, and see you next time. Have a great day guys. You're awesome.